Good day and welcome to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. So glad that you're joining us today as we get equipped, empowered, educated, and elevated together to make a difference where we are around the globe. Let's start with Inside the News. We share how family unity and family growth has changed over the last few centuries as we tap into a lot of the information that's available that helps our families remain healthy in communication, financially, as we grow together. We want to make sure at the Power Up that we encourage you on many different fronts, including remembering that your family struggles and all still matter. See, American family life profoundly has changed over the past few centuries. The marriage rate is falling, women are having fewer children, and many Americans, young adults in particular, are rethinking what it means to build a family. In spite of all of the definition changes and how maybe your grandparents saw families and needing a white picket fence and all of that, still it's important to know that whatever unity is, it's important that it's supported. The institution of marriage itself is evolving. You got to think about it. Many people now are combining religions and faiths. Many are not staying just within their norms of ancestry, but interracial relationships have grown, producing amazing children and a change in culture. So, as time shifts, it's important to remember that no matter where you fall in statistics, no matter what you see or people around you might share, your family life is allowed to be as successful as you want it to be. Think about it this way: couples married before 1972, which were roughly eight of out of 10, shared the same faith. However, just 3% now do in this new century. So it's okay that many are changing as diversity changes, as we embrace uniqueness to define what we see as success. The overwhelming number of married Americans, for example, have a positive view on their relationship with their spouse compared to Americans who may be unmarried, right? Or those who have come from many different ethnicities. How you define marriage and family life is important to what you need to win at life. Um, just remember, here's the message that you deserve to be happy. I say in a chapter in one of the books that I co author called I Love Her, I say you deserve to win with the whole world watching. It is true for any family, whatever we deal with in life. And though most Americans report growing up with their siblings, there are few experiences that have more unique relationships than siblings, including sibling rivalry, right? But that's part of family unity. And here's for those folks that may have grown up as the only children, that only child. How many folks did you grow up with? And where are you now in relationship to your own family? A lot of individuals who may have been raised as an only child tend to have many more children because of something they felt they missed, while others who grew up in big families may have the opposite and say, yeah, I've got 15, 10 brothers and sisters. I'm okay with just the one or the two. Why does that matter? Because your happiness matters. What you define for you is the big message here. And family health, wellness, the institution of what you see as your family, including traditions that are passed down from generations before, all matter. Despite what you might feel that might be behaviors, despite what you might see with divorce rates, and despite what we might be going through with our teens and with the younger generations and all of the increase in anxiety, there are support networks around you, family. Tap into those parishes, those churches, those agencies you can just walk into and say, I need help. Tap into the youth counseling networks, right? Marriage counselors. And listen, if you have health insurance, mental health care should be included. Therapy is a wonderful way to bring the family together to deal with post traumatic stress, to deal with losing Big Mama and she held everybody together and you can't seem to get your day to day. Listen, there are services. Your health matters. And the best part about knowing that you have a family is remembering that you have legacy responsibilities. What are you leaving to the kids? Information, education, and financially. What are you leaving to leave your thumbprint on the planet? How will folks remember you when you're gone? Because no one lives forever. And what you put in place will be the mark, the tradition, the thing that they remember, this next generation. Well, dad used to tell us, right? How many times do I say that? Dad made sure to share his life insurance information with us well before he got sick, so there were no arguments between the siblings, didn't have to go to probate court about his property. Everything was clear. Where are you with your legacy? How many times do we hear about folks who pass and there are GoFundMe accounts that are all of a sudden put out to help the family even bury their loved one? All because the loved one didn't think about the fact that there would be an impact on those they would leave behind. Every single death has a cost. Even if you're cremated, there's a cost. And don't you want your loved ones to celebrate your life when you transition? All that you brought to this earth, and keep those stories going after you're gone. Tell the next little babies, listen, this black and white photo is from your great, great, great. This is what they did, right? At some point, that might be what someone's saying about you. What are you leaving that's heritage, that's legacy, that's transitioning information? Now is your opportunity to think about your family. I'm so grateful that the production team took this as a viable topic for the show because we are so poised to make sure that globally we share information to impact others. And family, guess what? We, yes, do have a guest who is an advocate about family and about those in the community who are meant to thrive. I'm excited about who we have coming, so stay tuned. There's more after this. Family, welcome back. Okay, listen, we have the powerful, amazing guest who is a returning, I'm going to call her correspondence because every time she comes and joins us, she brings a wealth of knowledge. There's some things I want to think about as we build on the topic of family, on healthy relationships, and on understanding that things change with life. As I welcome our fabulous lawyer, Marron Genremeskel, Esquire. So good to see you, of the law offices of Marron Genremeskel. We're so glad to have you, sis. So glad you're joining us from
Thank
the great state of Texas.
Yes, I love Texas, born and raised. Thank you for having me.
No, we're so glad that you keep returning and sharing the wealth of knowledge that you do. Okay, first, for folks who don't know, this beautiful lady's heart is huge. And I want to start there because a lot of times, Maran, people think that the lawyers we see in the courtroom who are so rigid and arguing and they're so, that there's the compassionate side, the empathetic side. The reason they're doing it is for the money and not for the cause. You are quite the opposite. You're an attorney who is everything about you is pouring into the community and helping families. Tell us about your practice and why it's so important.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction, first of all. But yeah, so I practice exclusively immigration law. And a big part of what I do is about stabilizing families. People don't realize how immigration law can impact the day to day operations of a family. If you have a husband here in the United States and his wife is abroad, children abroad, it's difficult to stabilize that family when they're separated. I also do a lot of asylum cases, and a lot of times people are fleeing persecution because of what they've experienced in their home country, and they might have to leave family members behind. So stabilizing families is very important to me.
Wow. Wow, you know, we only see what's on the news sometimes. They get caught up in drawing an opinion because one side emphasizes something and another side emphasizes differently. But we never get the full picture of the impact. Tell us with your life's work. And there's, by the way, viewer family, so much more to Maran we're going to talk about in a minute. But staying in the vein of all that you've done in your legal journey. You've been a lawyer for the federal government, you're a lawyer in your own practice, and you've taken time to learn many different systems. What advice would you first share with another young person who thinks they want to step into the field that you're so every day breathing into?
Yeah, I think my best advice would be to just pick an area of law that you, I don't want to just say passionate about, but that's something that interests you, that means something to you. And for me, it was immigration because my parents, they came to the United States as refugees of Eritrea. So it was something, although I was born and raised in Texas, it's something that growing up, I understood the struggle of immigrants and refugees, and being not only an Eritrean American, but, understanding the day to day difficulties that come with having parents from another country move to a different country. It was very interesting to me. It was very personal to me. So I picked immigration law. And I actually didn't initially start. My first job wasn't in immigration law, but after a year, I realized, you know what? That's what I want to do. And I took less money to go that route. And I highly recommend focusing on something that interests you and constantly moving in a direction to do things that you love.
I love that. That's how it's personal. What do they say? They say that if you love it, then it's not work, right?
Yeah.
And yet, okay, here's the other side of the wonderful Maran, right? As you advocate for other families, you're a mom with four little people at home. I'm sorry, five, including the mister, right?
Or little
Five
ones.
that you're,
Yeah.
and the big one, five folks that you're responsible, and yourself. So the word that often gets thrown out there that a lot of people disagree about is balance. If they should, an individual who's thinking about law, great tip, should find something they like, but they also have other responsibilities. What do you recommend as some tips that can help them?
Oh, that's a great question, Tammy. Honestly, being a mother, being a wife, those are my priorities. I want to be very clear about it. And so in seeking specific positions or in the work that I do, I've had to figure out what works best for me. Yes,
Right.
I've worked for the federal government. I've been a USCIS asylum officer. I've also been an immigration services officer, and I've also been a federal trial attorney for HUD. And all of those positions they were great to me. The employers were great. Um, and I just realized that flexibility wise, owning my own practice was the best for me, specifically at this period of time in my life. So I have my children range in ages from 8 years old to now 1.5. And they're my priorities. They're the most important part of my day, my life. And I love how being a mother gives me this purpose in life. And so having my law firm, being able to support my clients and advocate for my clients, it also allows me to advocate for myself and to support my kids in the way that I like to. So I think it's important to figure out what works for you, because I'm talking about my journey in my life, right? So I don't want you to think that I'm imposing that on anyone else. I think it's important to take a step back throughout the day to day and figure out what works best for me and my family and the type of lifestyle that I want.
That's great. That's so important, especially knowing that family, the definition of family changes so much. There, like now, there are many whose family includes maybe two single individuals and three dogs, right? Or
Mhm.
a senior, they're caring for their parent. Right. So it depends on where we are also in the stages of life. One of the things I really love about you is your drive. Like you thrive in understanding. You are not satisfied till you get it and you understand it. To know that you put that type of heart and work into somebody else's life to help them is phenomenal,
Mm.
because it matters. There are some people that don't see a courtroom, but when you have to know that person is for you makes all of the difference. And I appreciate that. So with the Esquire,
Mm.
with the mom and the wifing, of which, by the way, you are knocking out the park. And I have to say this, in the middle of wifing, started a mom blog to try to help other moms, started other things that she could do. She and also authored. Can y'all hear what I'm saying? Talk about balance. Also authored Cactus Fruit, a book of poems. What inspired your book?
Honestly, COVID, right? I've always loved writing. I've always been a writer throughout my life, throughout childhood. But just the difficulty, the struggles, the mental things that I was going through, it brought me back to just wanting to sit there and write poems and to just use that as an outlet. It's essentially my form of like journaling. And it's something I enjoy doing. And I'm working on my second, and it's funny because I'm saying my second book, but I'm already thinking about my third as well. But it's just almost like a hobby for me, something that I love to do. And I highly recommend journaling, even if you're not trying to write a book, journaling, writing down your thoughts, putting them on paper. It's brought a lot of like gratification for me.
I love that. I love that. And yes, I gotta ask,
Mhm.
what sparked the title? Where did
Cactus
cactus
fruit.
fruit come from?
Yeah, no, great question. So, my parents, like I said, they're from Eritrea. And whenever Eritrean Americans, when we would go to visit Eritrea, they call us balas. And balas in Tigrinya, in in my language, is essentially cactus fruit. It's the fruit that comes from a cactus. And they call us that because we come in the summers. So just the same way those cactus fruit, they develop in the summers. So yeah, I've always they call us balas. I've seen myself being called that. So it's something that I think it's a big part of my life being Eritrean American. Not only am I a Texan, but I'm very much Eritrean, and how that's affected my life. I feel like I got to put it all into this book.
Wow. First of all, maybe it's just me. I didn't know cactus made fruit. So I didn't listen here.
Good. It's good.
I had no idea. And it's good. Okay. All right. I have
You
to
gotta try
find
it.
some now. Now I've got to try it just for you. Uh, but okay. So we did receive, I'm going to throw you off guard for a minute.
Yeah,
I
no,
did
go ahead.
not share this with Moran first. So I do want to, before we let you go, and I'm so grateful you're joining us, share a question we received from a viewer. Okay.
Yeah.
We received, and I'm going to Tammyrise it for you because it was rather a long email. The
Okay.
question basically says, you bring women to your platform who are in leadership. I also have a lot of kids at home. What do I need to do to be successful in leadership and climb the corporate ladder with all the children? She
So
didn't say how
someone
many. This was the general of the email.
Yeah. I mean, assuming that you want to climb the corporate ladder, right? Assuming that is her goal and her focus, I
Hmm.
really think it's about prioritizing your time. Because a lot of times I think we say we don't have time. But whenever I think of that, I think of those who are making way more than me, who are doing a lot more than me. They have the same amount of time in the day. And so I think the issue sometimes for me at least is that I'm not adequately prioritizing my time. So if you have a lot of kids like me, like four, it's a bunch of kids, um, and you still, you want to spend time with your kids, then it just needs to be about this is the time I am dedicating to my family. It's not negotiable. And for those other hours, how do I capitalize on them? How do I work efficiently? Stop doing the tasks that aren't required of me. Delegate if you can, and just focus on these are my two or three main goals, and setting out ways to make that happen and measuring your efficiency, right? A lot of times we'll say, well, I'm not successful at XYZ, but have you actually measured how do you know that you're successful at what you're doing? Write it down, create goals, prioritize what those goals are. But I think the key is prioritizing correctly.
Are there tools, guides, methodologies that you use to help with your time management?
I read a lot, and I read many books. I probably need to focus on rereading some books over so I can make sure that I'm using those actions that are implemented. But some of the things, like for example, I bring up that I read a lot. I listen to all my books, so technically, I'm a listener. I listen while I'm driving, after I drop off the kids, while I'm cooking. Um, I figure out ways to do things, but I also don't wanna multitask to the point where I just feel like a chicken with its head cut off. Um, so I think it's just about figuring out, like, these things are really important to me. For me, reading is self-care, right? So these things are important to me, so I wanna make sure I make the time to do it and figure out a way. Sometimes as moms, especially, it becomes, well, I can't do that because my kids and my husband, and I got to do this and got to do that. Well, they're not going to be good if I'm not good, right? It's not just about talking about, what their sport. My kids play sports, they're in various activities, but if mommy is not mentally doing well, then who's going to take them? They're not going to do well. So I really try to make time for myself, and that is different for each one. I like to get my nails done. I like to listen to books. I like to take baths. I do daily walks. I need a workout. And so there's a lot of things that those are priorities for me. And it's not just that it's a priority for me, it's a priority for my kids. Because if I want to raise healthy, successful children, they need a healthy, successful mom to show them what that looks like. And so I'm doing my best. I mean, the truth is, I could do a lot better, but I'm doing my best.
Listen, from one of the best and busiest, already busy as a lawyer, advocating, lifting, empowering, getting educated just with your field of study and your hard work, to also then have the real job at home and all that it takes. It does make a difference to hear someone who's doing it to say, first, I can do it better because there's no perfect person out here. So I hope that helps the viewer. Whatever you're doing, I reiterate that Marron said, just do something that works for you, but don't look for it to be perfect. Thank you for saying that. But
Yeah.
also to remind folks that there are times when you matter and you need to matter first. Thank you so much, Marron. Before I let you go, I got to do this. You are such a light to so many people. We get viewers who watch. By the way, thank you for responding to the viewer question. But we get viewers who watch that just need hope. they're in a broken place, a dark place. So they're just dealing with the stuff of life, death in the family, loss of a job, eviction notice, sickness, whatever it is. And you are one of the most positive folks that I know that knows how to plow through dark spaces. What would you share just off your from your heart with someone who just needs to hear some positivity right now?
Yeah, for me, a lot of hope comes from religion. But I want to be very honest about it. Someone I personally am dealing with grief right now. I think whenever people bring up that my hope comes from religion, um, others who might not be in the same spot feel like, oh, well, they're just perfect. They 100% know all the answers, they read the Bible a lot, whatever the case may be. I mean, my religion is something that I have questions a lot of times about. And I think it's okay while you're going through the grief to ask those difficult questions like, why, for example, why did God do this? Why? What is the purpose? Why are things like this? It doesn't have to be that religion gives you this finalized answer, but just that back and forth with you, or for me, for with me and God, dealing with it, trying to understand it, that gives me hope. It's not that I have it all figured out and I am 100% clear. I'm not, to be honest. And in grief, I think grief has made me realize the difficulties that you experience when you're working through it, whenever it comes to hope and religion and faith. But just being willing to go through it anyway, I think. And by the way, I want to stop because I know you said we're closing soon. Um, Tammy is my coach. I want to be very clear. And she has been just this light. You have like been really great at guiding me and leading me. So I am grateful to have someone that I can lean on, to kind of give me that tug. Like something that I remember you said was about starting like a women's group, whatever that is. Initially, it was a book club, and now it's a Bible study. But it's great, and I'm grateful for your advice. But just having someone that you can talk to that can coach you, whether it's a therapist or a coach, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's just a friend, is very important.
That is so huge. Your circle is everything, right? Your energy. And what I love, Moran, is that you even in that statement emphasize how people matter to people. Because as you're pouring in and lifting somebody out of their dark space and this family and the work that you do, we all need somebody to lift us up, right? As much as I am a coach, I have a coach. As much as I am a mentor, whatever we are, whatever you are to so many people, it's important that we are to each other. And then when you can't find somebody, get the book Cactus Fruit and read some of these amazing, uplifting, inspiring poems. She is a phenomenal woman, a human being making a difference in the life of other human beings. I'm a personal fan. It's not even about being a coach. I just applaud how focused and driven you are to help somebody else. And that's what it's about. Family, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it, go to marronglaw.com and you can reach out to her directly. Marrong law.com. You can also reach out to her on most social media platforms if you have any questions. And we look forward to having you come back again. Thank you so much for
Thank
gracing the power up today. Keep doing what you're doing, and thank you for making a difference, Maran. You take care.
thank
Hugs to
you.
my babies.
Bye.
Family, stay tuned. There's more after this.
Good morning. Marshall Weeks here with you on Financial Friday. Have you thought about how God owns everything? Do you believe everything belongs to the Lord? If we believe that, then we know that what He provides for us We are simply managers of it. We manage our time, we manage our families, we manage our jobs, we manage our businesses. Understand where I'm coming from? God provides us resources, gifts, blessings, talents for us to manage, so we should not squander it. Matthew 25:29 reads, "To those who use well what they are given, even more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who do nothing, even what little they have will be taken away." Let's reference once again Matthew 25, verse 28. "Take the money from this servant and give it to the one with the 10 bags of silver." The master took away everything the servant had because he put his portion in the ground. He did not invest it, he did not work with it. So if you look at that from the aspect of talents, okay, he did not use what was given to him, so it was removed. Everyone has made mistakes in the past financially. Let's put that behind us and move forward, believing God that He's going to show us how to manage the portion He's given us, and then exercising that to believe for more. You've been empowered because you should prosper. Good morning. Marshall Weeks here with
Welcome back to the ride, family. So glad that you're joining us. We want to move into our motivation moment. We always take an opportunity on the Power Up to make sure to uplift and encourage folks. We get some really heavy questions sometimes from viewers who are dealing with a lot of hard issues in life. Um, to put it in slang, life be lifing sometimes. In other words, you can be doing your absolute best. You can, in all that you have the best of intentions, well, how this day is going to go. And a hurricane still exists out of your control. A pandemic can still arise out of your control. Death still happens out of your control. And so the focus becomes not what you can't control, but what you decide to put your efforts into that you have the power to change. That typically starts with your behavior, your mental state, your mentality, what actions you do to make you great in spite of the hurricane, in spite of death, in spite of sickness, in spite of a pandemic. Whatever the stuff in life is still going to be life. What we would encourage you today in this motivation moment is to remind yourself of actions that need to happen so you can win. I'll put it this way: a toddler can fall down and get up and fall down and get up and fall on and hit that little pamper and get up, but they don't stop getting up because there's something in front of them they're trying to get to. Whether it's mom going like this, or whether they see that toy they're trying to get to. They are so eagle eye focused that the falls is not a distraction. They still have the power to put those little knees and feet in some kind of motion, even if it's just one step and they fall down again. Family, do you see the picture? We as adults see a fall as a failure. We put a pause in life and a bookmark there, even want to take up residency. That's not where we live because a failure is not final. What happens is that we have to refocus, renew, revive, rejuvenate. You have to get yourself to a restart to understand that this is just a comma, baby. It's not a period in life. So we take this opportunity to share three things to consider, regardless of the circumstance that has put you in the place where the feeling is overwhelming your progress. In other words, if you've decided to, instead of being in fifth gear, drive, slow down a little bit. Because to be honest, some things knock the wind out of you. Losing dad knocked me to my knees, hon. It took me a good few months just for the cloud to lift. But in the cloudy state, I still had to be productive. I still had to keep going. I still had to eat. So I had to work. And little people around you, they still draw from you. They don't know. And then you're caring for those others. Family, the greatness about you is you. You are the X factor. Yeah, think about it. You are the thing that makes life great in your world. See, I can't control the wars that's happening in other countries. That's bigger than me. So sad, horrific, even. I don't have control over that. What I do have control over is if I decide I'm going to donate money to help those individuals. Even those who deal with hurricanes here, tornadoes impact America the same way. I have the ability to donate to the Red Cross. I have the ability to give blood or money, right? There are things in my power. So here you go. I promised you three tips. First of all, write down your why. Why do you see existence as important? Why is it important for you to get up every day and keep going? Find your why. If you need a coach to help you find it, if you need to attach to a mentor, figure out what works, what your passion, what your drive is, and make that your why. See, I don't tell folks that I'm here. My why is that I got to do my show, or my why is that I have to write another book. Those aren't my why. My why is people. My purpose in the earth is to impact people. Maybe one person at a time, maybe on a stage with 10,000s, maybe in a book people will read generations to come. I'm clear. But for a long time, I wasn't. So I was putting one foot in front of the other, doing things, not even realize I was impacting people all the time. And that's my thing. I love it. So then I tapped into teaching. Dance. Used to love to dance. And somebody said, well, Tammy, why aren't you teaching this stuff? You know all these routines. You repeating stuff in your living. Why aren't you out here helping people? So I started that. And then that grew. And it poured more into me doing it than I was pouring into others as a choreographer, as a director, creating all of this stuff. It helped me to move in my why. Family, the things you used to love to do, maybe that's your why. Maybe you need to get back to music. I am music. I am songs. Do you know that songs, music can make people cry? It can shift the very being of a person. It can also make people excited. Now they got that energy. All I want to do is win, 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 no matter what. Family, you have the ability to do it in such a great way because it's about you. So, number one, identify your why, write it down, put it somewhere where you see it every day. My reason, my kids, my legacy, my reason, those to come behind me. When I'm gone, I want people to see different. I don't want to leave it to somebody else to say it the wrong way. That's not what I was trying to say. I'm going to say it my way because this is what I know. Tammy, identify your why. Here's another tip for you. Make sure that as you're moving in life, as you're moving one foot in front of the other, whether you fall or whether you flip or somebody trips you up, whether it's an accident, whatever might happen, don't get stuck. It's a temporary situation. You don't want to make a permanent decisions in a temporary space. Don't stay there. See, getting stuck is hard to get out of sometimes in life. It is. And people that say, oh, you need to let it go, they don't understand. People that say, get over it, yeah, they're clueless. Because sometimes it's not the fall. They only see you fall. So they're like, come on, get back up. They don't understand all that went into that, all that happened as a result of it. How maybe your ankle's broken from the fall and now there's medical care you have to do. How maybe you lost money in that fall and now you've got to figure out how to start rebuilding financially. Maybe how those different situations impacted you mentally. And so now you've got to go through therapy because I can't believe I did that. And I caused that to happen. And now that's on my conscience. Get the help you need, but don't get stuck. Shake it off. Figure out what you have to do to tap into those resources around you and those people that you see winning. Listen, there are some folks, they get paid to listen. There are some folks that volunteer to listen. That's why the Suicide Prevention Lifeline is so amazing. These are people who are trained in mental health first aid and just want to use these hours of the day or night to share, to be a safe space for you to release. So you don't have to make a decision you can't reverse. So don't get stuck. Here's the last one. And I need you to hear me. Create a routine that you can live by. Create daily habits that aren't so extensive that you know you're not going to do. Why you gotta have a gym membership an hour away? Who does that? All you're doing is giving them your money every month. You're not gonna go out an hour out of the way to work out and then go an hour back in the other direction to go home stinky after a long day of work, or do that before you have to go to work, right? Do something that's a daily routine. Establish a routine that works for you. If making smoothies every day is what's required to reduce your A1C, to reverse diabetes, to help you live with the autoimmune issues you do, like Graves' disease, lupus, Sjogren's syndrome, rheumatoid arthritis. If maybe smoothies is what the doctor says will help you with those migraines, with losing weight, whatever. Maybe you don't have the ability to make a smoothie every day, but you might have the cash to get prepared stuff. So all you have to do is drop it while you're brushing your teeth. And now you're going out the door with a smoothie. That's just an example, family. We're talking about establishing an easy routine, daily habits that work for you. One of the things I tell folks when I counsel and they say, Tammy, I gained all this weight. I want to lose this weight. First of all, I say, sister, I'm with you. Brother, I feel you. I'm in the same struggle. There are times when there are things in our control. There are times when there are things outside of our control. If you take medications, it's going to impact your weight. So stop feeling like your mirror is talking to you. Don't get stuck there. Create a daily habit that reminds you of your why. So every time you look at it, it's not about the weight. It's that I want to be healthy. I want to get off these medications. My why is because I want to be able to make it up the top of the stairs and not lose breath. I want to go and play soccer with my grandson or my favorite nephew. I want to be able to make every great game that my daughter is going to be playing or my granddaughter. I need the energy to be able to get there. I got my knees are hurting so much I'm not doing. I got to do whatever it takes with sore knees sometimes to get out here and live at life. You got to create things that are easy so you can be successful. Sometimes there's some easy tips. Like if you know you're going to eat it, don't buy it. That one. Come on, somebody. If you know that your sugar being high might cause you to prick a finger and you don't want to do that anymore, you don't want your fingers to be pricked, there's a really good why. I'm sick of the medication and I'm sick of all the scars and I don't like it anymore. I want to get off this. This is my why. So now daily habits, you know what? I'm not even going to shop for stuff like that. Or I'm going to shop differently. I'm going to read labels for less salt, low sodium. I'm going to read I'm going to try different foods that say organic. Maybe I'm going to look for stuff that only has fruit versus sugar because fruit is sugar, right? Maybe I'm going to get with a nutritionist. Tell them what my eating is like so they can say, did you know that these foods counter your medicine? Do you know that nightshade vegetables can mess up your stomach for those who live with that disease? As an example, family knowledge is power, and you have everything in you you need to win. Remember, you are the X factor. Establish your why. Yeah, don't get stuck. And most importantly, create things that are easy to do. Marron says she listens to her book because it's easier than reading them, but she loves books. Can you imagine how much information a lawyer gains from listening to literature just so she can stand in the court and represent me when I need her? Family, whatever it is that you were created to be in this earth, you can and will accomplish. You just have to start. And we can't wait to celebrate you. Ah, I hope that was good. Can I tell y'all that was good to me? I needed some of those reminders myself. Family, stay tuned. There's so much more after this. Family, as we move into our wrap up. What a powerful show. I got to check out this rewind for myself. We started out with Inside the News, celebrating families, how they've changed over the years, but also reminding you of your obligation to protect them. Whatever you define as family, you're responsible for ensuring your legacy is protected. Not just what folks going to say about you at the funeral, but what they will say years to come, and how you're protecting your loved ones. Every funeral has a cost. Are you leaving cash for them? Do you already have the plot located? Do you already have everything that you want so they're not arguing about little things? Do you know how divisive it is to have a family decide and disagree with what they're going to do over mama stuff? You have the ability to take care of all that right now. Get your will. Make sure that you have a will filed with your local county, city, whatever your legal requirements are, with your lawyer's office. Make sure that everybody knows in writing what you want to happen. Because just because child number 4 says it doesn't mean 1, 2, 3 are going to agree. So help everybody come together, celebrate your life, and be able to learn the lessons of how to handle our business while we're here. See, we take life for granted. We think, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Procrastination is something else, honey. And then tomorrow comes and nothing was done. And now your only child, who's 18, has to figure out what to do because you didn't write it down. You didn't establish anything and didn't let him know, if you did, where to find it or your desires. Not saying death is easy to speak of, but legacy is exciting. I talk to mine all the time. Listen, this is what I'm planning. What do you think? Engaging them into what's great about you and the name they get to carry through life. They carry your name. They carry your legacy, your heritage, your mama's. They carry everything that made you wonderful. They are going to carry, whether good as memories and information or bad. You can define it. Take this opportunity to have a reminder. Whatever you decide your family looks like, whatever it is, you want to make sure they're protected. I want to give you one quick example. I love my folks. I've been speaking to a lot of new school. I call them new school because I'm 50 and they're like not 50. Um, and they tell me often, they're not interested in a big house. They're not interested in getting land and all that stuff. Hey, what do I need 6 kids for? I don't play. I got my 2 dogs and I'm good. And I need health insurance for them. Mentality and generations have changed. So let's say you have 2 dogs. What happens if you don't make it home from work today? Legacy. Making sure that in your will you specifically say where you want those fur babies to go, who you want to care for, where there's money to care for you, because those pups can't pay for your funeral. So now it's going to go to a sister, your parents, a niece. It can go to someone else in the family. The burden of having to deal with all of your finances, all of your debt. Because if you still got a car note, if you have a house payment or rent, whatever, all of that is still here when you leave. So take this opportunity, as we discussed with Inside the News, to both celebrate your family, what you define it as, and then take ownership and responsibility for the next part of your family, how they're going to handle when you transition, and how they're going to keep moving on with your memory. It's your responsibility, and you have the power to do it today. We're so grateful also that we had an amazing guest. I love when Marron Genremeskel joins us. She is an amazing lawyer, immigration attorney. Go to marronglaw.com. You can also look for her name on social media platforms. Marron Genremeskel. She's also an author, y'all. Cactus Fruit. Go to Amazon. Cactus Fruit is an amazing book of poems. You just need some little uplifting from somebody who was dealing with it in the moment. She shared this as raw. Her poems helped her process through, which is why she did it. Another reason why you should author. I'm grateful she reminded us that sometimes you got to journal where you are. You don't know where it's going to go. Sometimes that's your outlet, that's your release. But making sure that you do what works for you will also impact your family and those around you. She said, I can only be a good mom if I'm a good me. Mm. Family, be empowered by wonderful Maran and see what you can do to make a difference. I thank her for her advocacy, her selflessness, how she puts excellence both as a woman in leadership in this country and caring for others with her plight. Every day, her job is totally to help someone else and to do the real job at home with those beautiful little sweet cheeks. Makes a difference when you figure out how to balance. It's not that anybody has to tell you, oh, you need to balance work and life. Anybody can say what they want to say. It's how you do what works for you. So thank you, Maran, for joining us and for making sure to emphasize how people matter wherever they are around the globe and how self-care matters. What you do for you so that you can be amazing in this earth. So glad Maran joined us. Can't wait for her to come back, hailing all the way from the great state of Texas. Then we answered a viewer question as well with Maran, who asked for some of those tips. Oh, I love putting her on the spot. She's always ready and full of inspiration. Keep hope, is what she said, whatever that looks like for you. We then just ended with our motivation moment, reminding folks, listen, we get that life is going to put you in between a rock and a hard place, is what they say. It's going to have you in uncomfortable situations. And most unwanted, unwelcome, unwarranted, right? Not something you planned on. Nobody plans on a car accident on the way to work. I was going to work. Nobody plans on getting sick because somebody else came in and I was breathing, standing next to them on public transportation, and now I'm home. Right? Nobody plans for the kids to go to school and have to deal with stuff too. We're all in this thing called life. What makes the difference is you. Know your why. And if you need help identifying it, Tap into folks that can help you figure out how to get through those deeper thoughts into what will make you happy, because everybody deserves to be happy. It's a right. You just have to figure out what that looks like for you. Write your why down. Remind yourself of it daily. And sometimes, let me tell you, you may have 20 different whys for 20 different things, and that's okay. Why did I start this business? Because I wanted to do this. Why did I start this book? Because I wanted to do this. Why am I getting up every morning at 6 a.m., making sure I put on tennis shoes to go walking? Because I'm trying to do this. Why am I in counseling? Because I'm trying to deal with that. Sometimes your whys might be different. It's okay. It's what works for you. Write down your why. Look at it where you see it to remind yourself. Don't get stuck in hard places. That's not meant to stay. It's temporary. It's a moment. Remember, life is like a movie. There's scenes, right? You're going to miss what's coming if you just stay right here. Books, chapters, volumes. You won't miss the next part if you stay right here. Come on and get what you need. Don't stick and stay. Even when the wind gets knocked out of you, take a minute. Figure out a way to breathe in to get your wind. Once your lungs expand again, once your diaphragm opens back up, and then get to breathing. Don't stay down. There's too much more to life in front of you. And here's the lesson. The next time you get the wind knocked out of you, you'll know how to handle it, right? And then thirdly, create tips, daily routines, daily habits that work for you. Don't do something that's so unattainable that it'll never happen. Why? Do what works that you can get excited about every day. I love jazzercise. I like dancing and I need to lose some weight. I'm going to find a class. I found out there's one around the corner. I'm going to go there versus giving a gym and I'm not going to sit there and push 50 pounds and up. And if it might be the opposite. Maybe you're a gym head. You need that to thrive. You need to be in a gym. You need to be pushing weights. Do what works for you. Find ways to make daily habits. Sometimes, as we're reminded often on this show, everything with weight loss, everything with your health, everything with you starts with what you eat. That's why some foods pick you up and some foods can bring you down. That's why sometimes when we're mentally struggling, we look for that comfort food. It's all connected. Figure out what daily habits, what routines you can put in place. I'm going to start shopping for these things because they're healthier. I'm going to start substituting Snicker bars and all that other sweet stuff with these things. I'm going to try to just pop grapes in the morning. I'm going to not do this whole rack of ribs, and I'm going to make sure I have my to-go container with me. I'm going to just put half away now. Easy. And I promise you it'll make a difference. Family, we hope our motivation moment uplifted and encouraged you because it did a few things for me. I needed to hear some of that. And I needed to know, as with Marron, that it's not about being perfect. It's about pushing forward to be the best you possible. As we wrap up our show, as always, we thank the amazing producers of the Power Up along with the We Empowered Network. We thank all of those who put yourselves in harm's way every day just for us. Those who are emergency responders, running into burning buildings and two shots fired while we're trying to run for cover. We thank you. We thank our medical professionals. We're running to you when we feel bad, just to cough and sneeze on you. And yet you show up every day and continue to help us with compassion. Those who care for our parents and our babies, teachers, educators, whatever you do, keep being great at it. And yes, thank you to our military who protects our borders and our veterans. Family, if you haven't heard it, thank you for being you. Because whatever you do is making a difference to the world around you. You go be great. We'll see you next time.